Welcome to the first edition of the Thrill Her podcast book club, Authors and Alibis, where we are taking a look at our first book, Freida McFadden's The Crash.
Yeah, and it was a perfect book for this month, right?
Very wintry, stormy Northern Michigan feel.
Yeah, and blizzard-like conditions was why the whole book, the premise of the book was due to a crash that a woman got into. We'll talk about that deeper. If you guys are reading this book still and don't want any spoilers.
This will be a spoiler alert. Spoiler alerts.
Yes. So we are going to be talking about the whole book. We're not going to filter any of the ending or anything like that. So we're going to get into the details.
Now if you haven't read it.
Yes.
And it's a
good read.
It's a thrill her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So, want to talk about the premise, or how do you want to start here?
Yeah, so the whole premise of the book is basically about Tegan Warner, the girl who got into the crash while she was on her way to see her brother. And we find out later that the brother's not necessarily a good guy.
Right.
So she was going to see him, but she's also very pregnant, almost about to give birth. And she got pregnant by another man. So the whole time you're kind of trying to figuring out who is this person she got pregnant by? Is she going to keep the baby? Is she going to, maybe try to make a relationship with him? But the whole premise is that she got in that car accident, and then everything that followed suit afterwards was this couple saved her. So I was thinking at first, like, oh my gosh, they're such a good, couple to help her.
But it's a Freida McFadden book.
Yeah. And
and
when they go to a basement,
coming at you all over the place.
Yes. You kept saying to me, so as Roxanne was reading this, I'm Heather and this is Roxanne.
Sorry, Roxanne. Yep.
As you were reading this, you kept telling me, like, there's just too many bad guys.
Yep. There's too many potential horrible people.
Yeah. And like the whole time in my head as I'm reading it, like when she gets into the crash, this couple, it's Polly and Hank. Mm-hmm. That have a house near where she crashed her car, that he dug her out. He helped her out. She was hurt. She hurt her ankle, but she's also pregnant. So they put her in their basement to help her. But Polly already had kind of a basement set up for a hospital bed. She was taking care of her mom, and her mom passed away.
And the whole
recently.
time you're saying, don't go in the basement.
Yeah, don't go down there.
Don't do this.
Yeah.
So.
And Tegan, the pregnant woman, was like, she's more scared of Hank the whole time because Hank is the husband. He's this burly guy who chops wood outside. He dug her out of the car and picked her up, and he's really strong. And so she's like, I think Hank's the bad guy, and Polly, the wife, is trying to help me. And Polly is a former nurse. She's no longer a nurse. And she was taking care of her in this hospital bed, Tegan. But the whole time, Tegan is like, I want you to call the police or the ambulance. I need help. I'm hurting. And the whole time Polly just makes excuses.
Right. And there was a storm. So I think at one point, maybe the phone wasn't working.
Yeah.
But it's just hard to place, like, because Polly sometimes did have like good things. So maybe we should back up to like the original issue with the pregnancy and the attorney. So she got pregnant by Simon.
Yes, Simon.
And then
Lamar.
Simon Lamar,
a wealthy man in the community.
Yep. And she was supposed to sign a form, get lots of money as kind of a child support, but not saying who the father really is.
Yes.
And Jackson was Simon's lawyer. Mm-hmm. And he had a relationship with Tegan as a friend leading up to the meeting and the signing of that paperwork. So this was at the very beginning of the book.
Yeah, and Tegan thought that Jackson was just being a good person to her, helping her out, buying her gifts, having dinner with her, kind of caring for her in a time where she was very alone. Right. But Jackson had other motives, being Simon's lawyer this whole time.
And then the first issue comes up when Tegan realizes that she was actually raped, assaulted when she did end up becoming pregnant by Simon, and she had blocked all of that out, and it came back to her. And then Jackson kind of turned on her because he wanted this smooth transaction, smooth signing of this paperwork.
Yeah.
And then he kind of turned, didn't believe her, and that's what sparked her getting in the car, going to her brother's during a snowstorm.
Yeah. And Dennis is her brother, which was the one who is kind of in cahoots with Simon.
At the end, you find that out. Which I kind of had my suspicions. I kind of thought it was weird.
Yeah, and she kept talking about how her brother is this great guy, and I thought that just was like overcompensation for maybe he's not a good guy. Like every comment she made about her brother, she loved him, and she doesn't have any other family, so she's really alone in this pregnancy. And the way I think she's just trying to grasp at something.
What raised my thing is about my thinking something was up was when her brother was upset that she didn't sign the paperwork for the money. So I'm like, okay, he might be just in this for the money.
Yeah.
That was my, when I first started like feeling suspicious.
Yeah. Yeah. I was suspicious from the moment that they brought Tegan down to the basement because I'm like, what's going to happen next? Right. And the whole time Polly's talking about, so Polly and Hank are the couple that have this house. And the other kind of sub-storyline is that Polly has wanted a kid forever. She's wanted to be a mom so bad. So she keeps talking about in the book throughout the story of, I want a kid and, Tegan might be my only way to have a child.
And thinking that Tegan is a single mom, she thought she was drinking because her brother wanted to, he had left his flask with some whiskey in it at Tegan's house. And so the premise of her coming to his apartment, he's like, don't forget my flask, which was that all a part of the whole trickery too.
Yeah.
So she had that in her purse. So Polly thought, oh, here's a single mom. She's drinking while she's pregnant because during the crash, this spilled in her purse.
She doesn't even care about her kid. Right. So why would she be driving in bad weather?
Right. And so Polly was thinking, I might be able to have this baby and take it off her hands. And she might be grateful for it too.
Yeah. And that they have a family that's established and they've always wanted children. And maybe she's going to save Tegan from being a young pregnant mother who can't take care of a kid on her own. The whole time, Polly keeps saying she's not capable. She's not a good mother. But she really doesn't know who Tegan is.
Right.
So the whole time, Tegan in her head kind of starts hallucinating.
The whole thing was about making assumptions about people because Tegan had made assumptions about Hank. And then Polly was making assumptions about Tegan. And then Tegan actually was making assumptions about Polly too, because she thought Polly was a nice nurse at one point and trying to save her from her husband, who she thought was abusing her, which wasn't the case.
Yeah. And so in this neighborhood where Polly and Hank live, that also is another part of the story is that across the street, they have this drunk neighbor that has a daughter, but he abuses the daughter. And so the whole time, Polly wants to help Sadie and give her a better life because she feels so bad for her. Because, again, Polly wants to be a mom so bad. She can't understand why any parent would do that to a child.
And I think Polly was a good person.
I think she had good intentions.
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, the whole keeping Tegan hostage downstairs.
For days.
And, and not calling an ambulance and helping her with her broken ankle or foot. So, but I think she was fighting with her own demons,
Yeah. And she's
conflicted.
She had a mental break when she was working in the nursery. Well, she was a nurse, Polly. And so, Hank keeps talking about, maybe this isn't a good thing for you. Maybe you need to talk to your therapist. Because Polly's kind of acting a little nuts towards the end because she has this whole grand plan. But she didn't tell Hank. The whole time I'm screaming, tell your husband that you have this messed up plan that you want to steal the baby and keep it.
Yeah.
Right? And have this whole family of your own. And Hank's just there is Tegan actually hurt? Do we need to help Tegan?
Right.
And Polly keeps lying.
Going along with this weird plan because he doesn't want to upset his wife because I think he really loves her.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know about you, but when I'm reading these, I can only take 1 or 2 chapters at a time.
Yeah.
I have to
in doses.
Read a chapter, put it away, think happy things, and then tackle it again.
Yeah. And so, Tegan ended up being more of a missing person at some point. Yep. The brother called concerned. Now, I'm not sure how much concern it was about her well-being or about the money that he wanted.
Right.
But the cops show up to Polly and Hank's because they found the car that was crashed, all the things that were left behind. But they did say, we don't think she is hurt or something bad really happened to her because she took her bag. But Hank and Polly took the bag out of the car. And so the whole time it's like, okay, the cops are now here talking to Polly at first. And Polly is sitting there saying, no, we don't know where she's at. We haven't seen her.
And her husband keeps going along with it.
Yeah, and then Hank, they were like, okay, we want to talk to your husband before he goes to work. And, of course, it's the morning hours, so he's not eating his breakfast, and he's feeling sick now because he's like, we still have this pregnant lady in the basement and wants, like, and Polly to lie.
He thinks he's going along with it.
Yeah, they want to keep this lie going. So Polly goes up to him and says, okay, so the cops are here. They're going to ask you where Tegan is, and you need to say that you don't know. And he's like, this long pause and like thinking, probably evaluating, like, if I say anything, then I'm going to jail.
Right.
And so he tells the cops he's never seen her. He doesn't know what they're talking about. Maybe they've heard it on the news. But yeah, the whole time the cops were like, okay, well, can we look around the house? And that's when I thought they were going to find Tegan.
I thought so too, because he seemed like, I don't know why Freida talked about this, but like the cops stayed in the backyard for a while and thought he saw,
and like radioed.
Right. Yeah. So what was that about? I don't remember that ever
nothing really
to anything.
Yeah, because then Polly, so with the blizzard, they're talking about how the house was buried in snow, right. But there is still a window in the basement where the cop could have looked in and seen somebody laying in a hospital bed. That would have been an obvious pregnant woman.
I just don't know why that part was in there. And if you guys saw something in the book that I missed,
maybe that was
I don't know why
a detail to get us a little more anxious.
I don't know. So going back to the whole story, did you think Polly was the bad person the whole time? Or did you...
It was hard. I kind of went back and forth.
Because I thought Hank was abusive at first, and there was a fearful thing there. At first.
I thought maybe he wasn't like the best husband, but then when they talked about how she had her mental break in the hospital holding a baby and wanting a baby so bad, I was kind of like, okay, I think Polly is the mental one here, because this whole plan of her trying to take the baby, like, she's going to take the baby. She's going to get what she wants.
Right.
So I thought she was not necessarily the greatest person, but I'm like, but then how did Tegan get into this situation, you know?
Right. Because I was wondering if, like, the whole Simon Jackson, if they caused the crash.
Yeah.
But how could they? It was a snowstorm.
Yeah.
And it seemed like that was...
It's just kind of a random bad event, right?
Right.
Yeah. But then the cops come out and say, well, we know later in the story that someone had cut her brake lines. And then Dennis, her brother, said, come see me. So Dennis paid some bad guy, right, off to cut the lines. So she would drive and eventually crash the car.
Yeah, it got murky at the end.
Yes.
A little murky.
It was
because then Polly ended up coming through.
Yeah.
Well, first she was going to go there and steal the baby and go down in flames at the hospital. So when Hank ended up taking her to the hospital, I feel like we're like bouncing around here.
Yeah.
This is our first one, you guys. So
yeah, bear with us. But also, like, let us know what you guys were thinking throughout the story. We want to know. Because, you know, finally Hank comes to the realization that, okay, Polly, he's like, okay, after 3 days, you got to call the cop or call the ambulance to help, right? Or the cops are going to find out or whatever. We're going to be in trouble. So finally, Hank's like, I'm going to take Tegan to the hospital when in fact, Polly didn't know.
Right.
Polly was going, so she still had this is what bothered me, was her calling the pharmacist for antibiotics because she realized that Tegan's foot smelled bad and it was infected. And she couldn't move it. She couldn't feel it. She tried to clean it for her. But Tegan didn't trust Polly. I wouldn't trust her either.
Right.
Because she wasn't calling the ambulance. Every time she asks, I need help, call 911. Oh, the phones aren't working. Oh, we'll talk later. Oh, we'll give you dinner. And then she's drugging her with Benadryl. So she flees.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
Going on. There's a lot.
There's a lot. And so she was like, okay, I'm going to call in for these antibiotics. So when Hank heard her leaving the house, he was like, okay, I'm going to take Tegan to the hospital and drop her off, because he genuinely wanted the best for this pregnant woman. He didn't want to get in trouble either, but his wife put him in this pickle that he thought he was just helping this pregnant lady out of the car. But I had this thought yesterday. I'm like, was this maybe a plan where they're all in it together so that Polly could get a baby?
See, I never thought, you mean Jackson, Simon, like everyone?
Yeah, everyone together.
I never placed Simon and Jackson with Polly and Hank. Okay. That's where I thought it was kind of disconnected, because I wanted Simon to be the bad guy. Obviously, he was the bad guy in one respect. But then all of a sudden we're with Polly and Hank, and who's the bad guy there? That's what I mean. Like, there's so many bad people.
Yeah. So Hank drops her off at the hospital,
and he's the good guy.
All of a sudden. And Polly comes back from the pharmacy with all the medicine, and she's like, "Where is Hank? Why is the car gone? Why isn't he here chopping wood? Because he left her and he was chopping wood." And she thought he was just going to be busy doing that. And then she goes downstairs, sees that the door's open and that there's no one in the basement.
But she's not going to take that lying down.
No, she's not. She's going to double down.
Scissors.
Yeah.
Get her scrubs, her old hospital ID badge before she got fired from her other incident. And she's going to the hospital, and she's going to have that baby.
Yeah. And she put the mask on her face too, so they can't really tell who she is. And she knows when shift changes. So she's like, okay, I'm going to go to the hospital. Now's the time, because the nurses are busy.
Yep. She's going to go down, and she's going to go down in flames.
Yeah. And she's going to take the baby once she gets to the hospital and bring it home so she can have her family that she dreamt of, that her mom dreamt for her too. Like, the whole time she's thinking back to her mom on her deathbed saying, you'll finally have the family that you want.
Right.
Or that you deserve.
So, but Polly ends up being the hero.
Yes.
How does this happen? Freida, your mind?
Freida?
I don't get it.
It is insane, because she gets to the hospital and she shows up, but the whole time Tegan is there, her brother shows up. And all of a sudden her brother's concerned
and
about
Jackson,
her.
The lawyer from the very beginning.
The lawyer from the
very beginning. So everyone finds her. Her brother's there to help.
Yeah.
Jackson's there, acting friendly again and apologizing to her for not believing her when she was saying that Simon raped her.
Yeah, and essentially pretending to be like that supportive boyfriend that she thought he was.
Was he pretending?
That's what I don't know. I'm like, was this actually a genuine, because why would you stay around?
Right.
Is this a genuine relationship that you cared about?
But no, because Jackson tried to tell her his concerns. I think he was going to tell her about Dennis, her brother.
Right.
Being involved
he
with
called
this.
her when she was on her way to see Dennis and was like, I have to tell you something. Right? That's when that phone call happened?
Yes. And when Jackson was at the hospital, he tried to whisper in her ear. And of course, we're all thinking it's going to be something bad against Tegan. But actually, I think he was going to be warning her about her brother.
Yeah.
Because she thinks her brother's there to help her.
But the brother is in cahoots with Simon.
Yes.
For other reasons, too, we find out.
So her brother, in the end, was trying to kill her through an IV, injecting morphine into her IV. And Polly, who was there to steal the baby, saw this all happen and becomes the hero.
Yeah, and she's like, what are you doing? Put that down. And then this man is like, oh, well, she looks like a nurse. So then he's freaking out. And then he tries to run.
Polly's the hero.
Yep.
Tackles him.
Then the security guards show up finally. I don't know where they were.
All of a sudden.
Polly,
trying to kill her, now saves her life.
But still has the scissors in her pocket.
Becomes a hero.
Yeah.
Leaves. Goes home to Hank.
Well, Hank shows up at the hospital looking for Polly because Polly left to come to the hospital.
This
after
is basically
he came home.
Chaos. This should have been called chaos.
Yeah. Chaos in a blizzard.
Yes.
Yeah. And so Hank shows up and Polly's basically running into his arms and it's like, oh my gosh, you're here. And they basically don't really talk about why either of them just happened to be at the hospital.
But Tegan's safe.
Yep.
She has her baby.
And the whole time, were you thinking she was going to keep her foot after they were talking about the infection and how she was like hallucinating, having fevers?
I mean, I guess I did. I don't know that I really cared that much about the foot. I was all like,
but the whole
I was
time
all
I kept
uptight.
wondering.
I was, see, I didn't care about her health overall at the end. I was caring about Polly holding scissors.
Yep.
Coming there.
Okay.
I don't.
Yeah, there was just so much. And the whole time, so Tegan craves tuna during this pregnancy. So she talks to the baby and calls it tuna. So the whole time, like, you got to name the baby Tuna then. You can't not name the baby.
That bothered me.
That bothered me too.
I did not like hearing, because, yeah, that just is adding more chaos to the story.
It was. But I'm like, okay, if she's going to have the kid, and the kid's all healthy after all of this stuff she's gone through. Right. The trauma, the crash, the infection. I'm like, she's going to walk out with one less foot because of Polly. That was all I could think about.
But Polly saved her life.
But Polly saved her. Yeah, I
She's
guess she would have overdosed on lethal amount of morphine.
Yes. So in the end, Jackson did end up being a good guy because then they ended up living together.
Yeah.
Or no, he
moved in with her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
helped her with the baby.
Helps her with the baby. They have this bedtime routine. It's really tender, and
she gets like money from Simon after all.
She still gets money,
child support. So she's better off there. Hank and Polly end up. So, do you remember during all this conversation we were talking about the neighbor
across the street that was the abusive
his daughter Sadie? She always wanted to be a mom. Mitch, who was the neighbor, ended up dying. And his daughter went to foster care, but then Polly and Hank.
Well, Polly finally proved that she wasn't a crazy anymore. So,
and she did.
They claimed like about a year in between all of this, and she cared for Sadie. She would help her, give her baths, and feed her when she knew she wasn't getting fed. And Mitch, her dad, was always mad, yelling at Polly, grabbing her, telling her to leave them alone. And then, one day the drunk dad falls,
which I thought Sadie had something to do with it at first.
Yeah.
So the other characters, then Mitch and Sadie. So Mitch is dead. Sadie, the neighbors, the little girl. Polly and Hank always wanted to have a child. Come to find out, they end up bringing Sadie in, doting on her,
giving her everything. Her.
Yeah. And
wasn't it a cute moment at the end? Where
when Hank admitted that he killed her dad in front of her? No, that wasn't a good calming moment.
When you put it like that, yes, it's not okay.
I
it's
thought
kind of messed
trauma
upon
trauma.
But she was so traumatized as a kid. It's like, okay,
I don't know.
The bad person in your life who
You're
caused
like,
you all
wasn't
this.
that a cute moment at the end?
You're like, no, it wasn't. I thought it was cute.
That wasn't a cute moment.
It was cute to me because I'm like, okay, Hank really cares, and she's saying to him.
I do like Hank. I think he's a good person.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying what he did was necessarily wrong in this story because you wanted Sadie to be okay.
Yeah. But Hank showed up when Mitch was outside and they were
fighting.
But I don't
think it was,
so he was
a little sweet moment reading the book to her at the very end.
Saying, I thought it was sweet because they're finally having this father-daughter moment where she's basically saying, oh, what blizzard? He's like, what do you remember?
He was worried about her having the trauma of seeing him kill her dad.
Yeah.
And kind of brought it back up. And
she was like, what blizzard? What are you talking about? And it was like this genuine understanding that.
But he killed her dad. So she was saying,
that,
like,
yeah,
I'll cover for you, basically.
Yeah,
this little child.
Sadie watched the whole thing happen.
Yeah.
When he looked up and Mitch was in the snow and not breathing any longer, he saw Sadie just looking at Hank.
And they lived happily ever after, according to Heather.
Yeah,
it was such a sweet moment.
I thought it was a sweet moment. But we were just talking before we started, and we were like, well, how did you actually feel about this all? And I genuinely think that there was some unresolved things, per usual, in a Freida book. If you guys are familiar with Freida McFadden, you know. The endings are like, someone should have got in trouble here.
Right.
Why isn't the police doing an actual investigation
There's
on
things that aren't
Simon, who's wrapped up in this raping of a girl?
Well, no, because he ended up going to prison. So did the brother.
Oh, right.
So that part was wrapped up.
Yes. That I forgot.
Yeah, that part was wrapped up.
But why is anyone not investigating like Mitch's actual death? Because would he actually just suffocate?
They did investigate it because they determined that he fell. He was drunk. He fell. He died. But I just think the whole trauma that caused, which, okay, it was saving the girl. It's very conflicting. Yeah. Because they saved the girl.
They took care of her. But
she also had to watch her dad die and be killed by Hank. Mm-hmm. And then Hank is a hero because, he's saving Sadie from a life of abuse. Mm-hmm.
And Tegan has a baby, which she would have probably not been able to have with her, brother, who he's apparently like in all of his debt with Simon for opening more ski resorts.
So that's coming out of nowhere.
So that was just random.
Yes.
Like at the end, like, okay, so he's actually in debt. And the whole time Tegan's like, yeah, my brother's a good guy. He loves being a ski instructor. It's his passion. And then they find out that, no, he's owing all this debt as a business guy with Simon, who's funding these fun projects.
So they were all wrapped up from the beginning.
Yeah.
But then I guess it, quote unquote, Freida ended happily ever after because Polly and Hank got their child. The child's happy.
Yep.
They're separated over here. Tegan has the baby. With Jackson's in her life, who's taking care of her, helping. Yeah. And the brother and Simon are in prison.
Yeah. So they're in prison and for life, right? No chance of getting out.
Happily ever after.
Yeah. Did you want a different ending?
No, I think it kind of ended. I did think Polly and Hank, something with Sadie was going to happen with them.
I was hoping.
I felt like something like that was going to happen. Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, I just thought it was like the whole reading a book, saying goodnight, Hank and Sadie, and then him talking, like trying to see how much she remembered in the end. I thought that was, I don't know.
I liked it. I really did. I was like, okay, they're having this
that's so
nice
cute.
moment.
That's
yeah.
So cute.
It's so cute. And Polly was like peeping and like listening to it. And
I mean, you do have feelings that you want Hank and Polly to be happy, regardless of all of the trauma.
But when it started coming out that she was a crazy, I'm like, okay, so when is Hank going to cut his losses?
He really loved her, though.
He did really love her.
I mean, that is like where you kind of have empathy in the relationship, in Polly's life, because
she's been through a lot.
Yeah.
And he's there for her.
Right.
Even through the 4 days that they had this pregnant lady in the basement.
And the whole thing of like Polly being the one that is almost killing her, but then in the end saves her. Mm-hmm. It was very whiplash.
It was,
you didn't know who to root for. Yeah.
But everyone ended up being safe for the most part.
Yes.
And the bad guys were still the bad guys.
So, I mean, I guess it did wrap up, I think, more than some of her other books.
Yeah.
In the end, with the fact that Dennis and Simon, found guilty, ended up in prison.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's more wrapped up than some of her others.
Yeah.
Which we will talk about some of her others.
We will.
This podcast.
Yeah.
Do you want to, have people weigh in? Let us know what you thought.
Yeah.
If you felt the whiplash, if you felt happiness.
Or if you maybe wanted. At some point, I was like, maybe it is a good idea that Polly takes this newborn baby from Tegan. You know, I had that thought.
Going back, I was kind of feeling like maybe Tegan was going to say that at one point.
Yeah.
But I think it ended exactly the way it should have been.
Yeah, and I think, Tegan was a smart girl. They discounted her as a young 20-year-old who was irresponsible, but she actually had a good head on her shoulders of, I'm not really going to trust these people. I don't really have, a good feeling about them. Right. My gut feeling's telling me, Tuna, my baby's telling me in my head, or whatever she was saying. But at some point, I'm like, maybe it would be a happily ever after for Hank and Polly to have this baby that just showed up at their doorstep, essentially. And if Tegan was in agreement to that, I was going to be happy about it.
And I thought Tegan after Polly saved her life, I thought Tegan was maybe going to reach out and let them know that she didn't tell the police, like, that they held her hostage, which that was another thing. Like, she was debating in her head.
Yeah. Yeah. They were asking her in the hospital, like,
because she was as conflicted as we are reading it, because Tegan was like, okay, Polly caused this, but she did save my life. Hank got me from the car in the crash. Polly did take care of me. despite, keeping her hostage.
Ulterior motives.
Hank ended up bringing her to the hospital
mm-hmm.
when he knew he had to.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then at the end, Polly saved her from her brother overdosing her.
Right.
So I think Tegan was as conflicted as we all are.
Yeah. But she knew, I think deep down, that it was going to cause a lot more turmoil to tell the truth, because then Polly and Hank would be under investigation.
So, and Polly and Hank, though, never knew that Tegan never really told police. They just knew that the police never came to arrest them.
Yeah.
So I guess they assumed
all was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they were in the clear. Polly was like, I got away with it. Essentially.
Right.
Yeah. But it was all for the best, I guess.
Polly saved her life.
But in real life, when you think about this happening, right?
Right.
You would hope that maybe the police were going to do a better job in investigating what actually really happened, other than Tegan claiming she didn't remember because of the crash. And I know to some degree that could happen, like if she did have head trauma, but she didn't have head trauma.
And police did investigate the fact that her car was...
The brake lines were cut and tampered with. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So...
What would you rate the book now out of 5?
I mean, as far as like a gore score, I don't think it was really gory at all.
No.
I thought it was very, it was tense.
Yeah.
I had issues with that. I just had to do chapter after chapter.
Mm-hmm.
I've only read a couple of Freida books. So as stacking it against her other books, I think her other books had more like unanswered things at the end. So I feel like this wrapped it up more than a lot, in my opinion.
I think there was just like a lot of, I liked all the different storylines that you had to like kind of be pulled into.
Yeah. And I had a hard time having the different storylines. Like I didn't feel like they were ever connected enough. Okay, like I just felt like that's a story and then that's a story. Like it was like before the crash and after the crash were 2 different stories, which they kind of ended up being connected at the end. But I felt very like, oh, we're not talking about Simon and Jackson anymore. Now we're talking about Polly and Hank and all of that. So that,
and where Polly and Hank are living.
I don't know. You're more familiar with Freida. So how did you rank it?
It was pretty high on my list of Freida books because I liked that it was something very different, and I didn't know how to predict the ending. There was no way to predict the ending. Right. And I wanted so many outcomes of the book the whole time I read it.
I did like the outcomes. I am glad like Sadie was saved. I'm glad Tegan had her life and she was okay. So in that respect, I liked it.
I would give it a 4.
I was just going to say 4 out of 5.
Yeah. Because it kept me on the edge of my seat. I never wanted to put it down. I read it twice. I still enjoyed it.
Even when I put it down, because I was stressed out, I was thinking about it a lot. And I was like, I got to go back to that. And I would do like a couple chapters, take a breather, but I was thinking about it all the time. So that's a good score, 4 out of 5.
Yeah. And I think it's a good book to start out. And we're going to be reading other Freida books, but other thrillers. So every month we're going to do a new thriller book. Yeah. So maybe if you weren't interested in reading this book, maybe you're just tuning in now. We're going to announce the book for next month. So you have a whole month to read it. Right. And then you can catch up with us here. If you guys have any comments about this book, we'll read them in the next podcast.
So let us know what you think. How would you rate it? Did you like the ending? Did you feel like it was discombobulated with the different before the crash, after the crash?
The characters maybe you wanted more from. Let us know. Any thoughts? Or maybe you were okay with the whole outcome of Hank and Polly living their life as if they didn't essentially adult nap Tegan and kept her in her basement for several days.
Yeah. So. And who was your favorite character?
I don't really know if I had like a definite favorite character. It was like kind of hard to root for.
I kind of liked Hank, how he had just just took her to the hospital at the end, just said enough. And
I'm glad there was the Hank character to kind of show like the goodness of him in his relationship and how he cares about people. I did like Tegan in the way that she was a dynamic character.
Right.
And she had a lot going on. And so I think, I was more interested in her the whole time of like, how is she doing? What she's going to do next.
Right.
I liked her, but she wasn't necessarily my favorite. There was times where I'm like, I just want to shake her, be like, no, you're just letting Polly do this.
Right.
And why did you drive in a blizzard? Why did you take an extra shift at the store, which made you later?
Right.
You didn't listen to the forecast. And So that was just driving me crazy. Yeah, it drove me crazy.
Meteorologist here.
Yeah. I'm like, why? If you know there's a blizzard, why are you driving a far distance? It blew my mind. Yeah. So I just wanted to shake Tegan and be like, you could have just stayed home and none of this would have happened.
Right.
But there would have been a story.
She also had Jackson and Simon on her case and everything.
Yeah, so something bad would have happened eventually, I think, if it wasn't the crash itself. But it was. So for next month, we're talking for February, or into at least the middle of February. Yeah. This one is Such Lovely Neighbors by Jack Dane. So it's another highly recommended thriller novel. It's a smaller book too, so if you wanted a shorter read, I haven't read it, so I don't know if it's a quick read.
I did read a little bit about it. I haven't read it completely, but just the synopsis: moving into the seemingly perfect neighborhood.
How do you know your neighbors?
But they're a little too nice.
Okay, yeah,
a little too
something feels
fake
off in the suburbs.
Yes.
Okay. We'll have to find out what it is.
The third Thursday of February.
Yeah. And we'll be back here every third Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. Bye.
Bye.